Right now, the biggest sporting event on Earth is happening in a country that, until pretty recently, didn't even care about it. The World Cup, soccer's biggest stage, bigger than the Olympics in some countries. And in 2026, it's happening in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. That alone is wild. But here's the part nobody's talking about. This tournament might not just be hosted by America. It might get rewired by America, changed permanently. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why a country that calls the sport soccer instead of football could end up reshaping the entire global game. Let's start with the basics, explained simply, because some of these terms matter. The World Cup is a tournament held every 4 years where national teams, not club teams, but entire countries, compete to be crowned the best in the world. Think of it like the Olympics, but for one sport, and that sport happens to be the most popular game on the planet. Here's surprising fact number 1. This is the biggest World Cup that has ever existed, not by a little, by a mile. 48 teams are competing this year, up from 32 last time. That's 50% more countries getting a shot at glory. More teams means more games, a lot more. We've jumped from 64 matches total to 104. That's 40 extra games stuffed into one summer. Imagine your favorite show suddenly getting 40 bonus episodes. That's the scale here. Now, why does size actually matter? Because the World Cup isn't just a sports event anymore. It's the biggest entertainment product on the planet, and America happens to be world-class at one specific skill: turning entertainment into money. Which brings us to something most people outside football never think about: stadiums. In countries where football has existed for over a century, stadiums were literally built for it. Tight stands, close to the pitch, designed for atmosphere over comfort. But most of these World Cup venues weren't built for soccer at all. They were built for American football, a completely different sport that just happens to share part of the name. So here's something fascinating. Some of the loudest crowds this summer are sitting inside stadiums originally designed for cheerleaders and Sunday tailgates. Picture watching the world's most elegant sport inside a building made for marching bands. That culture clash is part of what makes this tournament feel so different. Now let's talk numbers, because they're staggering. FIFA, the organization that runs world football, is expecting close to $9 billion in revenue from this World Cup cycle alone. Outside estimates put the total economic output even higher, into the tens of billions. That kind of money changes incentives. Bigger sponsorship deals, bigger broadcast contracts, halftime show-level production value. Football has always run on emotion. Now it's becoming a full-blown American-style spectacle, and the rest of the world is watching to see if it should copy the formula. But money alone doesn't change a sport. People falling in love with it does, and that's quietly already happening. For decades, soccer in America was the sport kids played before switching to real sports like basketball or football. That perception has been flipping fast, and the numbers prove it. Major League Soccer, America's top professional league, just posted a 62% jump in live viewership compared to last year. 62% in one season. Attendance is averaging over 22,000 fans per match, with some single games drawing crowds north of 75,000 people inside NFL stadiums for soccer. The league's social media following has climbed past 113 million people, generating over 5 billion content views in a few months. Here's the stat that should genuinely surprise you. MLS now has the youngest average fan age of any major men's sports league in North America. Not the oldest, the youngest. While other leagues worry about aging audiences, soccer in America is quietly building the opposite problem: too many young fans to keep up with. A lot of this traces back to one moment. Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest player to ever touch a ball, signed with an American club. Almost overnight, ticket prices multiplied. Stadiums that used to struggle for attendance started selling out in minutes. Mainstream American sports media, which historically ignored soccer completely, started covering it like it mattered. Here's the part that should really land. In some American cities right now, soccer tickets are tougher to get than tickets for the local NBA or NFL team. A few years ago, that sentence would have sounded made up.
So why does any of this matter for football as a whole, beyond America's own borders? Because America has something most football nations simply don't: massive cultural export power. Hollywood, global streaming platforms, social media dominance that reaches every continent. When America gets obsessed with something, it doesn't enjoy it quietly. It ships it everywhere. Think about basketball. It used to be niche outside the US. Now, kids in Lithuania, Nigeria, and the Philippines grow up dreaming of the NBA. If soccer becomes that culturally important inside America, the marketing engine behind it could push the sport into entirely new audiences that never paid attention before. There's also a quieter, slower shift worth mentioning: infrastructure. 13 MLS cities are serving as host markets for this World Cup, and nearly 40 MLS stadiums and training facilities are being used as venues or team base camps. That's not a coincidence. That's years of soccer-specific building finally paying off at the exact moment the world is watching. And then there's the next generation. Millions of American kids already play soccer growing up. For years, most of them quit once they hit their teens, switching to other sports with clearer paths to fame and money. That pattern is starting to break. With real homegrown stars, real money, and real visibility now in the American game, more of those kids are sticking with it. That's not just more players. That's a future wave of fans who grew up loving this sport instead of tolerating it. Now, here's where it gets a little uncomfortable for traditionalists. Some longtime football fans worry that America's involvement waters the sport down. More commercials, more spectacle, more focus on entertainment over tradition. Honestly, that concern isn't unfair. American sports culture does love flash over substance sometimes. But here's the counterintuitive twist. That exact flashy, commercial, entertainment-first instinct might be the fuel football needs to grow faster than it ever has. The same energy that turned American sports into global obsessions could be what pushes football past its current ceiling worldwide. So let's bring it together. This summer, the World Cup became the largest version of itself in history. More teams, more matches, more money, all happening on American soil at the exact moment American audiences are falling for the sport faster than almost anyone predicted. Here's the one thought worth keeping. Football didn't need America to survive. It was already the biggest sport on earth. But if America truly falls in love with it, the same way it fell for basketball, movies, and music, football won't just stay the world's biggest sport. It might become America's biggest export, too. If this kind of breakdown helped the game make more sense, subscribe. There's a lot more football explained simply on the way.